Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Big Time Fantasy Football. You're here with your hosts, Nick and Zach, and
Yo.
today we got another great video for you. We are getting into our wild card players for this upcoming season. These are players that could either boom heavily and become a onesie at their position, or they can bust and become almost nothing. So, before we get into all that, please drop a like, hit subscribe if you haven't already. We're on our way. We just hit 50 subscribers not too long ago, and we're going up from here. So, Zach, you want to get us started with your first wild card?
Yes, sir. My first wild card, I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson. And the reason I go with Anthony Richardson is he's a great, phenomenal talent. I love him as a player. He's definitely my top 10 favorite players in the league right now. But I think last year was just he played in 4 games, only finished 2 of them. And the 2 that he finished, he was top 4 in. But then the other 2, he got hurt halfway through or partway through and didn't get to finish. So that's the main reason why I'm having as a wild card. I think that'd be big for Anthony Richardson.
And yep, as you know, I am very high on Anthony Richardson. I have him in both my dynasty leagues. I'm more on the side of boom this year and for years to come, but hopefully he can hold up from injury. I like what you said about another year under his belt. In college, he really only had 1 year, very few starts in college, and then turned pro. So we'll see how he does this next year. And getting into my first guy, I went with Deontay Johnson, the newly acquired Carolina Panthers receiver. I think he can take over a lot of what Adam Thielen did last year. Thielen, in his first 7 weeks, had 6 double-digit fantasy performances. He's kind of a security blanket for Bryce Young, and I think that offense as a whole is just going to improve. Bryce Young will have another year, and I do think that Deontay Johnson could take over that role and absolutely boom for fantasy players this year. But there is a chance he does bust. I mean, that room, I know it's newer players, but it is getting kind of crowded. They do still have Thielen, even though he's a little bit older. They drafted Xavier Legette. There's a new offensive coordinator and a head coach. Maybe they turn to more of the running game approach with Jonathan Brooks, the talented rookie that they just got. And what if Bryce Young doesn't step up this year? What if he just isn't a great NFL quarterback? So there's definitely boom potential, but there's definitely bust potential. You got to be careful with Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. So he has a chance to step in to be wide receiver 1 there, but how valuable is that going to be? So really that Bryce Young, if he can take a step forward, is really going to be the biggest question for Deontay as his value. So good pick there. My next guy, I went with Mr. This is his year himself, Kyle Pitts. He was the highest drafted tight end in modern history, had a 1,000-yard season his rookie year, and then just didn't have any touchdowns. So everyone just expected that he'd have more great seasons, and the positive touchdown regression has not played out that way yet. New coaching staff, new play callers there. So hopefully, that helps him out. But he has all the talent in the world. He's a great tight end, but it just seems like every year, like I said, we're saying this is his year to break out. And again, he's lined up to have it happen this year, but will it happen or will it not? Now that Kirk Cousins is in town, he has a chance that offense, goes to the roof. But is Pitts going to get some of those added touches? Is Pitts going to be able to get some touchdowns this year? There's a lot of questions behind Pitts. So a guy you want to root for, a guy that you want to draft and is always going higher maybe than he should. So just decides it's up to see, kind of which way he goes this year. So hoping for the best, but wouldn't hold my breath on it.
Yep. We've been burned before. So I think I'm on the boom side rather than the bust side this year. But
I think I am too, but it's like how many times can you say that before you look like a fool,
Exactly. Getting into my next guy, it's going to be George Pickens of Deontay Johnson's former teammate of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They did get a quarterback upgrade. Kenny Pickett was garbage this past year, and they upgraded to Russ, so a small step up. And they also have Justin Fields on the roster, both guys that are a little more established than Kenny Pickett, especially Russ, and can support a wide receiver 1. as it's been seen. Last year, George Pickens had over 1,100 yards. He had a really good yards per reception number at 18, and it doesn't take much for him to doesn't take too many targets and receptions for him to stack up the fantasy points. He's definitely a big play guy, and Russ, he's known for his big play, his deep ball. And I think George Pickens definitely has a chance to boom this year. There's really not too much in the receiving room. I think you have Roman Wilson, the rookie, and a couple bums there. So we'll see if this Pittsburgh Steelers offense takes a step forward this year. They do have Arthur Smith, so maybe they just use Roman Wilson and don't use their stars like he was doing in Atlanta. But there's potential for boom, especially with Deontay Johnson leaving. That opens up even more targets in that offense. Like I said, the QB upgrade. But if Russ looks like Broncos Russ and takes too many sacks, doesn't really perform to his potential, I can see a bust easily for George Pickens, especially because he's more the guy that's 50-50 balls, and if the 50-50 balls go to the defense, you're really not going to get fantasy production out of him. But yeah, I think I lean more towards the boom side with George Pickens. What do you think about it?
Big Steelers fan, huh?
No.
All these Steelers and former Steelers that you're loving on. But no, he's obviously a great talent, and like I said, it's just a matter of getting him the ball at this point. So we'll have to see what Russ does. Russ is someone I've always liked throughout his career, even as corny as he is. Just still he had a great prime. I mean, he was an amazing quarterback. So if he can get even a fraction of that back, and there's talks that he's looking great, but I feel like every quarterback gets that said about them every offseason. So Russ is going to be the guy at the beginning, at least, and then maybe Fields takes over. Whoever's supposed to be getting him the ball, though, it's just up to getting him the ball, really. It's what it comes down to. So if they can do that. He has a great catch radius. He can make a play after, Well, mainly he's a good catch guy. But, if they get it near him, he'll be able to catch that. He had one of the best catches. That was last year, right, where he had the one-hand snag, or was that the year before?
I think it was the year before. But
yeah. Well, one of the best catches of recent history with that one-handed snag that he had along the sideline there. So, great talent there. So yeah, boomer bust guy. Him, I think I'm almost like he'll have a good season, but he won't be booming. I don't think he'll have a complete bust, but I don't think he'll have a boom season, But hopefully he does. Hopefully for him he does. But my next guy is actually 3, maybe even 4 guys, depending how you want to look at it. It's the entire Dolphins running back room. I just think I was like, oh, let's do Mostert. He had, a top running back season. He had his best running back season at the age of 31. Is that something that he can do? And I'm like, well, Achan's there too. Another guy that's a big play waiting to happen, but another question mark is the health, which even during the draft process, that was his question because of his size. It was never a question of talent. It was just health. And that kind of bared fruit last year. And then Jalen Wright, they drafted another running back to get into the mix there. How is he going to factor into the piece? And then as Wilson, as they used him, sometimes last year, is he coming back this year? Well, he's obviously coming back, but is he going to have a role this year with the other 3 guys? Is he going to be ahead of Wright, behind Wright? How are they going to use these guys? And I think just whoever gets the touches on that team, it's such a good, offense to be in, with their ability to stretch the field and open running lanes. And, obviously they draft and get players for speed. Any of those guys could pop off on any given week. So is one of these guys going to be the main guy throughout the season? Is it going to be just, you have to guess which week it's a dart throw, which one of these guys will be the top? So all those guys have boom or bust potential in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you really can't pick one guy for that running back room. It's got to be the whole thing. And I think last year they leaned so heavily on the running game and got their running back so many touches that they also have one of the best receiving duos in the league in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Maybe they move a little bit more towards the passing game since they showed more run last year, which would bring their potential down even more as a running back room. So. getting into my last guy, it's going to be Javonte Williams, running back for the Denver Broncos. When he came into the league, he was very sought after, and everyone saw the talent and the potential there. He just never really got to show it too much. I know before last year, the year before, he went down with a catastrophic injury, and he was working his way back last year. Looked good at some points, but definitely didn't look great pretty much all season. But I feel like people discounted him and knew that he wasn't going to look great. And then when they actually saw it, they discounted him even more and said, wow, he doesn't look great, even though it's kind of what we were expecting. But I do expect a bounce back from Javonte, at least so far in camp and organized team activities. It's looked like he's looked good, is the reports that I'm hearing. I know they added Audric Estime, a power back out of Notre Dame this year. We'll see if he steals some carries along the goal line or, on first down, second down work. And they also have Jaleel McLaughlin, a guy who looked really good as a rookie last year. We'll see if he's implemented in this offense. But Sean Payton's offenses typically, they have at least 1,000-yard rusher. I think last season was the first time that he didn't have one in his offense. So hopefully he gets back to that. Hopefully the Broncos quarterback room, no matter who it is, hopefully they get one decent starter out of the three guys they have in competition right now. Not Zach Wilson, please God, not Zach Wilson. But yeah, Javonte definitely has a chance to boom, be a top 12 guy in the league for fantasy wise. And he, if he splits carries, if the offense isn't great, he definitely has a bust potential. So I'm leaning towards boom. Maybe I'm a homer. Broncos are my team. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think you're leaning towards boom on everyone, it sounds like. But no, Javonte is a guy I like too. Running back is my favorite position. I don't know why. I just love running backs, and he's one of those guys that I like to root for. So I just like his skill set. The talent is there. So hopefully, obviously staying healthy is going to be his biggest thing, so he doesn't have to battle back through something else, But definitely has a chance. They did, like you said, draft another running back with a similar-ish play style to him. So is that going to cut into his work, or is that just kind of a backup insurance policy? That'll be left to see. But yeah, good talent. I think. Yeah, I don't know which way to go with him. I really don't. So I can't even throw out if I think he's a boom bust or somewhere in between. So it'll be an exciting guy to watch. And yeah, we'll stay tuned, see how he does.
Yeah. Do you have any other guys you were thinking about for wild cards?
There was a couple guys. I mean, like Trevor Lawrence is someone I thought about just to see if he really kind of bounced back from the season that he has. I think that's really the only other guy that came to mind when I was kind of doing research for this video. How about you?
Gotcha. Yeah. I was looking at Christian Watson. He's a guy I really wanted to put in here, but I've talked about him in previous videos a couple times. I think he does have the opportunity, if he can stay healthy, get that hamstring right. I think he has the opportunity to take over as the one again in this offense, but, it's a crowded room. Jaden Reed looks really good as far as last year goes, so we'll have to see on him.
Yeah, and I think also, well, kind of popped in my head right now. For this season specifically, Malik Neighbors definitely could be a boom bust guy. I mean, Waller's gone. That was their best pass catcher last season, even though he really didn't play. They don't have really that many star established wide receivers. So I think they'll try to force feed Neighbors, and it's just how is Daniel Jones going to look this year getting him the ball? So he's going to be featured, but is the ball going to make it to him? Really, that's the biggest question. So.
Well, I think that's going to do it for us here at Big Time Fantasy Football. Thanks for staying. If you stayed this long, please drop a like, hit subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Have a good one.